Hey y'all, this is Alex from the Rim Review. The Rim Review is a page that offers in-depth player analysis and gives nuance to the way that you watch basketball. In this series, we're going to be looking over every single prospect in the upcoming draft. In today's video, we're going to do a follow-up on yesterday's video and watch another Kentucky guard, Rob Dillingham. There are a variety of different strengths to Rob Dillingham's game. The first of which is his shooting, where he shoots an extremely impressive 43.8% from behind the arc. This is even more impressive when you consider the fact that Rob Dillingham is constantly moving and a lot of these shots have occurred off the dribble. Next is his pick and roll playmaking, where Dillingham showcases an ability to make a variety of different reads against different coverages. This is a big contributing factor to why Dillingham has a 2.0 assist to turnover ratio. Finally, and as many of you already know, Rob Dillingham has a bag. His handles and shot creation are next level and are why I project him to be a really prolific scorer in the NBA. Despite Dillingham's immense skill, there are some pretty big red flags to his game. The first of which is his shot selection. 39% of the shots that Rob Dillingham takes are marked as contested according to Synergy Sports. That is not acceptable. Secondly, Rob Dillingham has a really high tendency to over dribble. Sometimes this can lead to turnovers or just missing open reads, and that's a big reason why he only averages 0.85 points per possession in isolation. Finally, there are stretches where Rob Dillingham just looks a little lazy on the court, especially when it comes to passing. While he has the ability to make a lot of really great reads, sometimes he's not fully invested and will kind of throw a haphazard pass. Maybe he's trying to make a normal play into a highlight, and these types of tendencies could be concerning for the next level. Now let's start off and watch Rob Dillingham in transition. On this possession, Dillingham is going to showcase his ability to change pace in order to score. Right here, Dillingham slows up, makes a move, and takes a floater finish. While I like the finish, I hate the fact that he's picking the ball up as high as he does. I think it could very easily finish at the rim, especially if this man right here were to choose to seal in number 4. While I like Rob's touch, I don't love the shot. Still, it's a good play. In this next possession, Rob Dillingham showcases his quick ability and how he's always hunting for a shot. Right here, Dillingham comes off a drag screen and pulls a really quick 3. This quick trigger and ability to shoot off the dribble is very promising for scouts. We're going to see something very similar on this possession. Dillingham is moving ahead, catches the ball at half court, accelerates, and dribbles in to a nice jump shot. Really good stuff. On this next possession, Rob Dillingham is going to use a drag screen, which once again is a screen that occurs in transition, and he has a nice step back 3. What I like seeing from Dillingham here is he recognizes that this defender is in a drop. I think maybe Dillingham could maybe attack the defender, but I don't hate the read, especially after this man gets clipped over here. It's a good screen, and the step back, wow, just really impressive. Dillingham also has shown flashes of being able to pass in transition. Right here, I love Dillingham running with such hard pace, and he does a really good job here recognizing that the numbers are not with him, as once again, in this oval, there's really 3 defenders and just Rob Dillingham, so he slows the ball up and makes a simple pass to Reed Sheppard. And for those of you who did not see yesterday's video, when Reed Sheppard gets the ball open, it's money. Now that we've watched Dillingham in transition, let's move on to the pick and roll. One thing that Rob Dillingham does at a really high level is refusing ball screens. He does a good job changing pace, and as you see in this possession, wow, what a finish. While I love this drag screen in transition, Dillingham has a nice crafty move behind the back to get to the rim. Really good stuff, Rob. In this next possession, Rob Dillingham slows the ball up once he recognizes he doesn't have numbers. He calls for an empty ball screen, so those of you who don't know, it's empty because there's no one over here. And Dillingham does a really good job changing pace to refuse, which is really impressive. Rob Dillingham and changing pace, those things are synonymous with each other. On this possession right here, Dillingham is going to get the ball in a zoom at the top of the key. Right here, just really impressive. These are the kind of highlights that you're going to see from Rob. He's a very flashy player and he can do a lot. What I love to see here is Rob Dillingham takes this hedge right here, He waits for a second, reads the defense. Maybe there's a pass over the top here, but Rob Dillingham doesn't necessarily see it. He does a good job slowing up, and then once this man leaves, that's when Rob Dillingham makes his decision to turn the corner and go. I love this patience from Rob, and it's really crafty, and making the defender fall is just another cherry on top. In this next possession, Rob Dillingham once again showcases his unique ability to score and finish through contact. Right here, Dillingham gets downhill, and wow, that's a really good creative finish. Rob Dillingham has a lot of really good moves in his bag, and it's really impressive. If Rob Dillingham maybe wanted to look to pass here, he has a potential read if he wanted to kick to the corner. He also may be able to jump stop and throw a lob pass if this was an NBA big like a Derek Lively, but I don't hate the finish, especially with what Rob is able to do. I think Rob Dillingham is just a tough shot maker. It's really impressive. Another thing that Rob Dillingham does really well is always hunting to shoot a three. In this possession, Rob Dillingham is going to call for a ball screen at the top of the key. The Missouri defender provides really a non-existent hedge, and because of this, Dillingham knows that as long as his screener is able to clip his man, Dillingham needs to shoot a very quick three. It's a really good release, and it's just pretty to watch. Dillingham also has a good history of coming off the HOs and shooting. While he doesn't shoot at the level of his teammate, Reed Sheppard, Dillingham does a really good job being confident and looking to score. What I like seeing from Rob here is he comes off the zoom action, takes a dribble in, recognizes that this man is backpedaling in a drop coverage, and says, okay, if you're gonna backpedal, I'm just gonna knock it down. Really good stuff. Now let's watch Rob Dillingham showcase his abilities to pass within the pick and roll. On this possession, Rob Dillingham does a great job getting downhill and making a quick read to Reed Sheppard. What I love seeing from Rob is he immediately recognizes that this man is in drop coverage. Rob Dillingham, his first look is on this guy, and he sees that this man is coming in to catch the roll man. And Rob Dillingham's second look is he's watching this guy. Once he realizes that number 7 is coming in as well, Rob Dillingham makes a nice pass to Reed Sheppard. I also think Rob could have maybe made this pass, but I think he does a really good job recognizing that this man has one foot in the paint and is loaded and could probably get back to get a late contest on a 3 there. Rob does a really good job here, and it's super impressive. Rob Dillingham once again showcases the different types of reads that he makes during the pick and roll. Right here, Rob Dillingham just says, okay, we don't even need the screen, and as the screen occurs, he realizes that this man is not paying attention and just makes a no-look skip pass, really high level. I don't love the one-handed pass, but when you throw it with that pace, it's really impressive. Rob Dillingham can do the simple things as well, and as we see here, it's a really good pocket pass, and it's just really simple but good stuff. Being able to throw the pocket pass is exactly what you have to do if you want to succeed in the pros. Rob Dillingham also has a really nice touch and has shown a great ability to throw lobs. On this possession, Rob Dillingham gets downhill. Once he gets downhill, he attracts this man who has to come up and help. And this guy, because he's so worried about Reed Sheppard, doesn't come here until later. And once Rob Dillingham knows he has a step, he throws it, and it's just really pretty. I'm going to show this next clip without an interruption so we can just once again fully appreciate Rob Dillingham's ability to make tough passes. Wow, that's just elite. While Rob Dillingham is extremely talented, there are some major red flags in the pick and roll. The first of which is his consistent settling for mid-range shots. Right here, Rob Dillingham makes the shot, however, he's already established kind of a step by Dalton Connect. I would love for Dillingham to dribble a little bit more and draw the attention from Zakai Ziegler and maybe have a kick to the corner if Reed Sheppard were to drift there. I also think it's potential for Rob Dillingham just to go all the way down, and maybe this man could dance in the dunker and Dillingham could hit him. I don't think a mid-range jumper, no matter how well that you shoot it, is ever going to be a good shot, especially in the NBA. In this next possession, we see a very similar thing where Rob Dillingham makes multiple moves and gets into a mid-range. He's off balance here, and I just don't love it. Right here, Rob Dillingham, there's a wide open kick to the corner. It's a very simple pass. This man is already sealing over Townsend. Just make it. It's way too easy. Instead, he takes kind of an off-balance, awkward mid-range. These types of negative tendencies are why I don't think that Rob Dillingham is going to be able to be a consistent starter in the NBA, at least initially. Right here, Dillingham does a great job getting a switch onto a center. When you're a guard and you get a switch onto a center, take a dribble out, reset, maybe even pass to Reed Shepherd and he can pass it back to you, reload, get your team in good spacing, and then go at the center. The center is slow, you're going by him for a reason. You don't want to take literally a foot on the line to, it's the worst shot in basketball. And this next possession, we're going to see Rob Dillingham force up another shot as he goes for a floater here. Rob Dillingham does a good job calling for the ball, gets the screen at the wing, and he gets downhill. Take one more dribble in, and you have Antonio Reeves, who's one of the best shooters on your team, wide open on the wing. This is a pass you need to make every time. Or you could even have Reed Shepherd set a hammer screen, and Reeves could go to the corner. There's so many things you could do, but that is not one of them. That's never the right answer. Another issue that Dillingham has is at times he's kind of wild and out of control. As you see in this possession, Rob Dillingham calls for this drag screen, gets it, is panicked by the number of men guarding him, and just jumps up without a plan. If you jump and you're in the NBA, you need to know exactly what you're going to do. You can't jump without a plan because it leads to turnovers. On this next possession, Rob Dillingham has a loose handle and doesn't see the man in the gaps. Dillingham does a good job changing pace and being aggressive, but he's not watching for this guy who's able to make a really easy swipe at the ball. I think part of the reason why this turnover occurs is because number 4 on Kentucky is not engaged and kind of in no man's land, but Rob, we need to be better. On this next play, Rob Dillingham predetermines that he's going to make a pocket read, and it leads to a bad play. While the screen occurs here and it's good, Rob, we have to make sure that the man has actually gotten out of the screen before we throw the pocket. The pocket is open, but if you're going to throw it, you have to make sure the center is alert. And this leads to a turnover. On this possession, Dillingham is going to come off of a DHO, and once again, have a looser handle. I like the pass here out of the double team. However, we're going downhill. We got to protect the ball. I like how everything looks. Rob Dillingham's running with pace. It's really good, but I'd like it a little bit more if he protected the basketball. Now that we've kind of examined Rob Dillingham in the pick and roll, let's just have fun and enjoy Rob Dillingham in isolation. There's so much Rob can do. He has such a deep bag. Right here, he makes multiple moves, and holy cow, what a finish. This level of touch and ability that Dillingham has is why he's such a talented player. Right here, Dillingham does a good job and makes just a really crafty step through. While there are probably a variety of different reads he could have made there, Rob Dillingham is just a pure scorer. Once again, Rob Dillingham does a really nice job here, getting into his spin move and having a nice extended finish. Another thing that Rob Dillingham does at a really high rate is finishing with his inside hand. Once again, as we see right here, he finishes with his right hand with a finger roll finish. I love seeing that right here. It's just a nice move, and it makes it harder for the defender to block you because your shoulder is almost acting as a protecting force. Really good stuff, Rob. As I mentioned earlier when talking about Rob Dillingham, his ability to change pace is elite. He's really smart and he knows when he needs to accelerate to score. On this possession, he recognizes that he has a driving line, changes pace, and has a nice finish. On this next possession, Rob Dillingham takes a mid-range, but watch how it's much different than the ones that he's taken before that were criticized. Rob Dillingham has a nice crossover, flows into a smooth shot, gets set, and knocks down an open mid-range. Much better. Instead, on this possession, Rob Dillingham is going to take an off-balance, deeper mid-range that just doesn't look good. He doesn't get by connect, he takes a step back, and look at where he's releasing the ball from. He's off balance. There's just so many more things that could happen. I know that it's late in the shot clock, but I would much rather call for a ball screen and make it a two-man game. Maybe you have Reed Shepherd as a shake. Something can happen, but that is not a great look. Once again, bad shots are unfortunately Rob Dillingham's biggest weakness. He's going to pop out here on a Spain pick and roll, get it in isolation, and just take I don't hate the step through, but it's not the best look. There's so many more things you can do, and it's just awkward looking. It's not good. Another thing that Rob Dillingham is very prone to is charges. Because Rob Dillingham has such a unique ability around the rim, he kind of takes shots that he might not necessarily need to, and as you see right here, he's very prone to charges. If he was playing off of 2 feet, or maybe he could make this wraparound pass to Reed Shepherd, but honestly, it's early in the shot clock. Like, you don't have to force it. This lob is also open to number 4 if this was an NBA level center. I would like Rob to play with a little bit more control. Speaking of control, in this possession, Rob Dillingham is going to get the switch. However, once again, the control is lacking. He goes downhill and just struggles because once the man is in front of him, he sometimes has tunnel vision and misses open kicks like this one right here. I believe that's Antonio Reeves, who is literally one of Kentucky's shooters. This kick should be made every single time. When you're in the NBA, if you're kicking out to a shooter when you drive, that's a great thing. It's much better than this. Now let's look at Rob Dillingham off the ball as a shooter. One thing that I think Dillingham does at a really good level is coming off of screens. Right here, this down screen is being set, and Dillingham does a great job taking one step in and then coming around and having a quick jumper. Really good stuff. He waits, comes off the stagger, and has just a smooth release. While it looks simple, these are the types of reads you're going to see in the NBA. On this possession, Kentucky is going to run a floppy set. What that means is Rob Dillingham has the option to come off of this screen or come off of this screen. Dillingham does a great job initially coming off this way. He recognizes that it's not going to work, goes back to the floppy, and just look at Rob's change of pace here. He recognizes that this man on Texas A&M is on autopilot, bumps back, and immediately gets a 3. Let's watch this again without interruptions because it really showcases how smart Dillingham could be off the ball. The Golden State Warriors run a lot of floppy sets such as this one, and it could be a system in which he could succeed in. Additionally, Rob Dillingham just has a really good range. I don't love that skip pass with one hand, but just watch how far Rob can shoot from. It's a quick release, he looks comfortable, and he's confident. Another thing that Rob Dillingham does when it comes to him as a shooter is he does a good job relocating and looking for space. I love this, and I love the pump fake for a dribble into a 3. Let's watch this again. While I don't think that his teammate is intending to set this brush screen here, it kind of works out naturally. Dillingham recognizes that all eyes are on the ball and DJ Wagner. As you see, all 3 of these guys are looking, and he says, okay, I'm just going to move over here. And Rob Dillingham, wow, this is pretty. When you're going to be a shooter in the NBA, you have to be able to attack closeouts. Dillingham has shown some really good flashes of this, and as you see right here, a nice pump fake into a sidestep 3. What I really love from Dillingham as well is look at how quickly he runs off these screens. It's really pretty. He's playing with pace, gives the ball up to Shepherd immediately, and just a smooth pump fake. Really high level stuff. Another thing that Rob Dillingham does really well, and as some other guards do it in the NBA, such as Tyrese Maxey, is having stampede drives. As I've mentioned in some of my other videos, a stampede drive is when you catch the ball and immediately rip through with all of your momentum going this way. The reason it's beneficial is because this defender is initially coming over here to help with the Antonio Reeves drive, so Dillingham coming with his momentum makes it impossible to be stopped. He catches the ball, immediately rips through, and has a floater. The one thing I hate from Dillingham here is look at how early he picks up the basketball. I don't know if he has room to dribble because he's worried about this swipe right here, but I don't love him taking a floater. This pass could also be open, especially if Antonio Reeves rotates. Not a horrible play, but I really love the drive to attack the closeout. One last thing when looking at Rob Dillingham attacking closeouts is he is at times loose with his handle. Right here, he catches the ball, and honestly, I think this could be a shot. He tries to pump fake and drip through, and once again, his handle can be loose at times. Now, let's look at Rob Dillingham on the defensive end. The number one strength and why Rob Dillingham is going to be able to be at least an okay defender is the fact that he plays with a high motor. Rob Dillingham is always engaged, he's being aggressive, and just tries to impact the play. That's really good stuff, especially when so many offensively heavy guards can at times be lazy on the defensive end. That is not the case with Rob Dillingham. Secondly, Rob Dillingham has really decent hands and has some really good moves to interrupt the passing lanes. He's got good instincts, and that's why he's able to average 0.94 steals per game. Dillingham does have some weaknesses on the defensive end. The first of which is I would describe him as an extremely raw defender. At times, Dillingham can be a little erratic, and he's being a little overly aggressive, and is just kind of all over the place. I don't necessarily know where Dillingham is going to be off the ball because he does have a tendency to gamble. Additionally, Dillingham is very poor in closeouts. Sometimes he runs too hard, sometimes he's not fully paying attention to his man because he's so locked in on the ball, and Dillingham just needs to work on his feet in particular. That's a big reason why opponents average 1.26 points per possession on spot-ups against him. Finally, Dillingham's screen navigation, both on and off the ball, could use some work, as Dillingham is sometimes late, he gets clipped, and he isn't the best at bullying a ball screen. While all of these weaknesses are true, Dillingham's high motor and the fact that he competes defensively at times can hide this. However, I'm worried against higher level talent, a motor will not be enough to hide these glaring errors. Let's start off and watch Rob Dillingham in driving line situations. In this possession, Dillingham is engaged, he's fighting, and he's really doing a good job guarding Wade Taylor. What I love seeing here is Dillingham being able to get through this screen and just be aggressive the whole play. It's really smart and good feed from Rob. Great possession. On this next possession, Rob Dillingham guards another NBA prospect in Zyron Pullen. He does a good job. He's engaged, gets through this screen. While he does get beat, he does a really good job hustling and using his athleticism to protect the basket. While this is true, Dillingham has times where he's overly aggressive. Right here, Dillingham's being really high in pressure and trying to get a steal. When the guard reloads, Dillingham gets beat, and that's not great. We're going to see Dillingham overplay again, and this leads to him getting beat by a lesser guard on Vanderbilt. This change of direction from him allows him to get by Dillingham, and he's lucky that Kentucky has so many 7-footers that can just protect the rim. I think when Dillingham is being really aggressive and pressuring here, once he loses that kind of contact with the man, sometimes he'll loosen up. So when Dillingham is touching his guy and being really aggressive, he's great. But look, the second that hand goes away, boom, he's beat. Now let's watch Rob Dillingham in the pick and roll defensively. On this possession, Rob Dillingham guards Zakai Ziegler. While he's really completely taken out of the play initially with a physical screen, he's aggressive and does a great job getting back into the play. As I mentioned in his strengths portion of this video, Rob Dillingham's active hands allow him to get a steal. Really great stuff. Right here, Rob Dillingham is actually going to cheat the play and initially get beat. However, his hustle and high motor allow him to recover. As you look right here, Rob Dillingham is going up. While he may be icing the ball screen, it's really impossible to ice when the center is playing over here. So he jumps the screen, gets beat, but does a good job being aggressive and fighting into the play. What I also love seeing from Rob here is how when he jumps, he doesn't foul and he's smart defensively. Just overall, great stuff. While this is true, there are times where Rob is kind of taken out of the play and just gives up. Right here, unlike the previous instance, when Rob Dillingham is screened, he's just standing and really not doing much. I think this is something that almost every player is going to be due when they get screened like Rob does here. And so I think what Rob Dillingham really just needs to do is get better at bullying a ball screen. What I mean by that is you get into your man, you push them out, and you fight through over the top of the screen. If the man is not a good shooter, you can also get into him, and then at the last possible moment right here, push off of this guy and go under the screen. The overall screen navigation just has to be better from Rob. Right here, Dillingham is going to be a little overly jumpy and work on his feet. Like, look at Rob here. He's just kind of out of control. His feet are going everywhere. It's just not good. He gets clipped again, completely taken out of the play. And what I hate seeing here is now that this peel switch has had to occur, you switched onto this guy. Like, be engaged, Rob. If this Vanderbilt player was a little more competent, although that's probably why he's at Vanderbilt, he would drift to the corner and have a really nice chance at a three. You can't be standing completely straight up when you're playing a basketball game. Rob is very lucky that his nonchalant defense was not punished here. On this possession, Rob Dillingham falls victim to being a bit overly aggressive. As you see right here, he's jumpy and just gets beat. I also hate how he immediately puts his hands on his man, which causes a foul. Watch this screen right here. Rob Dillingham hears it coming and immediately jumps. You can't do that. When you're going and you're trying to navigate through a screen, you need to force the defender to make a decision. You can't let them reject the screen. You need to get into them, force them to use the screen, and come over. When a screen is being set this way, you have a really good opportunity. Just double and on the top of the wing. Send number 2 up top. Rob, get higher, push them. You have a trap. You've got help side from Reed Shepard right here. There's a lot of things you can do, but doing this is not the answer. Please don't cheat the play. Another thing that Rob Dillingham oftentimes will struggle with is giving up refuses. Right here, Dillingham once again, he's leaning early, he's getting lazy, he's cheating, and so Zakai Ziegler says, okay, I'm just not going to take the screen and go by you. It's exactly what happens, and Ziegler gets a nice finish. Let's watch Dillingham off ball on these next couple possessions. Right here, Dillingham, the talk is not there. As soon as this skip pass is made to Reed Shepard, even if your man is number 2, you need to be pulled like a string, and it needs to be a full rotation sprinting to number 12. There is no one on your team that is going to be able to get out there. Reed Shepard is currently doubling, and he hustles to get over. Honestly, I think Rob Dillingham should be the one getting over because he's the closest, and the easiest way of communication is if Dillingham goes over here, and then Reeves comes up, 3 goes over here, and then Reed Shepard picks up 5, and then 33 gets the ball. That's a full rotation. But once Shepard has already gone over here, if you're Rob Dillingham, you need to run. It doesn't matter that it's not your man. Like, I can't say this enough times. It doesn't matter if not your man scores. If your team gets scored on, it's your fault. Dillingham runs, but he's late. You need to run earlier. Additionally, Rob Dillingham oftentimes will gamble. On this possession right here, I assume that they've been told to double this big on the catch. Rob Dillingham is kind of operating as a robot here, so he's coming over to double before the catch has occurred, which I guarantee you his team was not told by Coach Cal. He thinks this double is occurring, gambles, and is completely taken out of the play. I love how aggressive Rob is, but this erratic defense is not always the best. Right here, Dillingham does a good job firing, but then once the pass is made, you gain nothing by standing here. The pass is made, you need to go, get out. There's that pause, the talk is not there. I think Rob Dillingham has the right idea, but you need to tell this guy to go over here. He initially runs here, and then he goes there. What is this path? We'll draw it with a squiggly line. You always want to take the straightest path here, man. You don't want to do, okay, I'm going to run over here, I'm going to wait, oh wait, that doesn't make sense, and then I'm going to go here. It makes no sense, and it's why they're able to get a 3. He dribbles in, and it's just bad. Overall, Rob Dillingham is an extremely intriguing prospect. He shows flashes of being beyond talented and being able to make plays in isolation and have obscene finishes around the rim. His passing also shows flashes of pure greatness where he makes lob passes that even coaches may not see. While this is true, Rob Dillingham has some massive red flags. The over-dribbling, the bad shot selection, and some of the defensive erraticism leave some major cause for concern. In my opinion, I have Rob Dillingham mocked a little bit lower than most scouts do. I would say he's probably more of a mid-lottery talent, going anywhere from like 5, maybe even falling as low as 10, to some of the top 3 picks that some of the scouts have him as. I'm really happy that the Knicks are good this year because I would hate to see him in that situation because Coach Tibbs would never play him because of his defensive issues. When looking at Dillingham's career, I think he really projects to being a sixth man of the year, Emmanuel Quickley type player. I like kind of a high volume scorer, somebody that's going to come out off the bench, maybe even like Lou Williams for those of you that watched him a few years ago. I also think if he's able to take a step forward and grow and develop and improve on some of the lacking of decision making that he has, maybe he can become an elite starter that gives you that offensive game and is a high effort defender. So maybe there's a world where he does develop into like one of those high volume like point guards / shooting guards. He's not a true one, but maybe he develops that in a couple of years. But I think the Emmanuel Quickley comp is much more accurate for where he's going to be. My fear with Rob Dillingham is that he's not ever able to put it together, and he ends up being stuck on the back of a bench for a rotation, and he ends up being a Bones Highland type player. And I think that would be concerning because the red flags are so big with him. They might not ever put him on the court, so he can't showcase some of the great things that he can do. I think with Rob Dillingham, a lot of it's going to determine on how hard he works and the situation he gets into. And when you have a prospect like this, I can't justify putting him in a top 3, especially with guys like Alex Sarr, Nikola Topic, and others that are just, in my opinion, are a little bit better. I think Rob Dillingham is great, and the highlights and all that are amazing, but in my opinion, I would pick Reed Sheppard over him. Thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all in another episode of The Rim Review.